Blight is by far the second strongest killer in the game because there is a killer that can just ignore how the game works in general. But there's a problem with this character, and that is his balancing. Blight has one of the best base kit abilities in the game. He can sprint at really high speeds for a few seconds that grants a fixed range, restricting how much he can turn and look, along with a little fatigue period at the end where he has to take his octane stem. But if he collides with an object, he can slowly maneuver himself for a brief moment and sprint again, and he can do this 5 times before having to suffer from fatigue and taking another stem while winning the try not to overdose challenge. This is meant for mobility, which leaves him almost unmatched in this category, up there with the NERF because she ignores how the game works in general. But Behavior added a feature where he can end on any rush after the first one with an attack that can not only take a health state from a survivor you hit, but can also break pallets and breakable walls. This can allow him to catch up to survivors mid-chase and use his power to play around loops in a fast-paced, more fun and strong way rather than only using his power for mobility. Everything I said so far just sounds like great killer design, right? And that's because it is. Blight is arguably the best designed killer in the game. As the title suggests, something about him is a little too strong, and I don't believe it is because of just his design. But first let me say, what's good gang, what's good fam? This is a part of my buff or nerf series, and this time is Lilith Omen himself. Blight is up to bat. And in this video I'll go over exactly what I think could be fair nerfs that wouldn't destroy his character but influence a wider killer variety in higher MMR matches. And if someone needs to know, I do main Blight. He's one of my mains on PS5 behind like Wesker and Demogorgon, and I have to rely on some fucking joysticks when I play him, which also makes it super hard. But even as someone who isn't even all that good with him, I'm pretty decent, I have to say. I have to admit he does need some changes. He is really strong. And these are just some nerfs I would give Blight. First, let's talk about some ideas people had that just won't work for nerfs. Making him 4.4 base movement speed instead of 4.6. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely a noticeable difference when you go from a killer that's 4.6 to 4.4 or vice versa. But he is strong because of his power, not his movement speed. You could make him 4.3, it would still be a top 2 killer. Removing the hug tech. The hug tech allows Blight to easily slide off an object he would normally bounce off of, but it lets him slide on it and get easier and cooler hits and help with mobility in a crowded map. This won't work as a nerf. The hug tech is easily counterable by leaving the loop, and the Blight literally has to take his eyes off of the survivor in order to make the object slippery, so it's hella reactable. And hug techs are the most fun thing to do when playing Blight, and if that's taken away, Blights can't go for counterable, fun circus-like hits and will play more efficiently around pallets. They just won't respect pallets, force you to drop them. Once they break them, you're in a dead zone, and that's a free hit, therefore causing harder times for survivors if they took away the hug tech. And it also wouldn't improve his collision like some people think. The collision is down to each item individually on the map, not a Blight design flaw. And that would make him way harder to learn for the beginners because that is one of the most forgiving parts about Blight. You're able to use a hug tech for mobility and maybe use it once or twice and get a good hit. If you take that away, it would be harder to learn Blight, therefore every Blight you see would be really good or at least decently good. If you want somebody who goes in more detail, Lilith Omen, who is one of the biggest Blight YouTubers, his video is going to be on the top right of him talking about himself. He goes in way more detail of the things I just said. And real quick, let me just give a big thanks to Lucy for help with the thumbnail and the new channel logo instead of the terrible drawing that I had. Lucy is also 8 subs away from 200, so let's get the fam at 200 at least. I bet they would really appreciate it. Alright, but let's get into the nerfs and let me talk about his base kit. His speed, the fixed turn and look angle, the attack at the end, I don't think none of that is the problem with his base kit. He has a mobility oriented power with a chance of hitting a survivor, which actually takes skill and reaction time. It can help him clear out pallets faster sometimes, which is a plus. And if he misses an attack, there's a short cooldown animation at the end, so the survivor has time to move away if the Blight misses. He also has a little longer cooldown with getting a hit too, so the survivor is able to get distance. It takes 2 whole seconds to charge 1 full token, and this is where I think the first nerf comes in. Instead of 2 seconds per token, I think 2.5 seconds per token could be slightly more balanced. So instead of having to wait 10 seconds after you used all of your rushes to rush again, it would be 12.5 to recover all 5 tokens instead of 10. This is because at times it can feel like the Blight used almost all of his rushes to get to you, and then what it feels like 3 or 5 seconds later, he's already rushing at you again, which can be really hard to react due to his speed and can make not as experienced survivors panic and more likely to give up. That's nerf number 1. His rush attacks also count as special attacks, so he can't use his mobility to catch up and insta-down you with something like Starstruck or No-Ed, so that's a massive W. And breaking pallets and walls isn't much faster than breaking them regularly, so again, that's another W. And last but not least, for his base kit, his rush recovery after breaking pallets. After Blight breaks a pallet, his rushes start recharging before he can even move. But when he hits a survivor, they don't start recharging until his cooldown animation finishes, so I think think they should just apply that to the pallet break animation, because a Blight can use 2 rushes to break a pallet, and literally like 2 seconds later they're already rushing at you again. And like I said, it could be hard to react to when baby go DC. So don't start the rush regeneration until his pallet break animation cooldown finishes, and I think that is a solid nerf number 2. And surprisingly, that's all I really have for his base kit, because I don't think that it's necessarily just his base kit that's the problem. Mainly because there's a killer in the game that ignores how the game works in general. But just like Rin Yamaoka, his add-ons are way too busted, and the most important things from Blight that needs nerf. And I'm only gonna go over the ones that I know need changes. First add-ons I want to tackle are the speed add-ons. The yellow blighted rat add-on makes Blight's rushes 4% faster each time he collides with an object and starts a new rush. His first rush is 230% the normal speed, so I don't truly know if it's plus 4% to make it 234, or if it's plus 4% of the 230 to make it like 293. I'm not entirely sure, but it's still a really strong yellow add-on. And if you don't fully understand why it's so strong, let me explain. With Blight's normal rush speed, he goes fast, but the survivors at least get time to react to him coming. And when Blight uses a rush mid-chase, good survivors will do what is called a wiggle, where you try to make the Blight think you're headed one way and then get shifty with it like Kyrie Irving and go to the other. And this will cause Blight to miss and allow you a chance to get away. But when Blight even has the yellow add-on, later on in his rushes, they become unreactable and the survivors can no longer wiggle them. Combine this with the green speed add-on, the Blighted Crow, and the speed is literally unreactable for the survivors no matter how good they are. You can't react to this. Look at this on screen and tell me, is that fair? Are you able to react to that? But it can be outplayed if you've played against Blights before and you know how to perfectly position yourself, so it's not like overpowered, but it's really strong. This can also allow Blight to play a little sloppy but be able to make up for it due to having a super fast speed. Pig and Bubba are 2 killers with similar add-ons, but for some reason theirs have downsides. Like Pig's ambush takes much longer to charge up, and Bubba's chainsaw also takes longer to charge up. But Blight's speed add-ons don't have any downsides at all. I personally think these add-ons are super fun, but Blight always has his rushes almost all the time, and if he doesn't, he only has to wait 10 seconds to get them back. So at any point in time, he could just pull up with a free unreactable hit, and I don't think its reactability makes these add-ons that OP, but it's the fact that his rushes are gone for a max 10 seconds at a time. These add-ons need a downside such as this. The Blighted Rat does what it regularly does, makes you 4% faster after each rush, but every rush token each takes 0.33 seconds longer to recover, and the Blighted Crow the same thing, but instead of 0.33, it's 0.5 to recover. This will make it so the downside of bringing one isn't detrimental, but bringing both will grant you unreactable hits, but take way longer to come back, with the max being at almost 17 to 20 seconds without his power. Does that sound fair to you? Because it does sound a little fair to me. Still strong, but more manageable for survivors, and it makes using his rushes more high risk, high reward, on the contrary as of right now where they're like medium risk, high reward. Nerf number 3. And his best add-on, in my opinion, is the Alchemist Ring, or better known as Alch Ring. Whenever you hit a survivor with a lethal rush attack, you instantly get all of them back. So the Blight can start a match, maybe get a lucky hit on a survivor within 15 seconds if he has Lethal Pursuer, but with this add-on, he'll instantly have all of them back, so the Blight player could potentially get it down within 20-30 seconds of a game, and I think that is way too fucking OP. No killer should be able to do that, in my opinion, even though there's like maybe 5 killers that can already do that. And if that Blight gets it down within 20 seconds and he's running full meta and double speed add-ons, the game is almost pretty much won. It's going to be super hard for the survivors to come back. My nerf idea is make half of them recharge, and it fixes your speed to 230%, meaning it can't be stacked with any speed add-ons, so you can't get unreactable hits and get them back instantly. Maybe the speed part is a little bit too much of a nerf, but this will make the add-on beneficial for survivors to not go down within the span of 10 fucking seconds, unlike one killer that ignores how the game works, and that is nerf number 4. Next is the Iridescent Vial Compound 33. Any survivor within 60 meters of a slam are hindered by 3% for 3 seconds, and pallets are instantly broken when Blight slams into them, stunning the Blight for only 1.5 seconds. Just this add-on is just too damn good. Add-ons that are too good like this usually have downsides, like Huntress. She has the iridescent head hatchets, which insta down, but she can only carry one at a time, so she has to throw one then reload. Or Hell Priest with Engineer Fang. He insta injures with his chain, but it takes way longer to recharge. It doesn't work if they're already injured, and it only spawns 2 chains instead of being 3 to slow down the survivors, which makes it less beneficial to use in chase. But this Blight add-on insta breaks pallets with the smallest cooldown animation ever and slows down the survivors. That's insane. I would say the best way to nerf it would be to get rid of the slowing annoying it does to survivors, but that's literally why it's called Compound 33. It slows them down by 3% for 3 seconds, Compound 33. Little fun fact that some people still don't know. But how about we just nerf the range? Because 60 meters within a slam is going to happen literally every chase, therefore there is zero counterplay at all. Maybe just nerf the range and make the pallets done maybe 1.75 seconds instead of 1.5, not the whole 2 seconds, but hey, it's whatever. That's nerf number 4. The Compound 21 add-on shows survivors auras for 3 seconds after being within 8 meters of a slam. This add-on I don't think needs change, but I've heard a lot of people say that it does, and I don't know how I would nerf it. I never really run this add-on, but I can see a plausible nerf because it literally gives you free wall hacks that's guaranteed, so trying to react to the killer is basically useless. So I think a plausible nerf would make the wall hacks 2 seconds instead of 3.5. So yeah, I just make the duration from 3.5 to maybe 2 seconds, and I think that is a good nerf. That is nerf number 5. And perhaps one of his craziest add-ons, which I saved for last, the Adrenaline Vial. There is a lot to unpack, but if you're watching this video, you probably already know what it does, but if you don't, here's a super quick summary. Tokens take 1 second to come back down from 2, turn angle drastically increased, so you can easily do 180-degree flicks. You get 7 rushes instead of 5. You get faster each rush by 10%, which is both speed add-ons combined, and your turn rate while rushing is kind of stuck, so you're stuck moving one direction instead of being able to turn. And I'm gonna keep it a buck, I have no clue what to do with this add-on. As a Blight main, this is probably his best add-on. It's arguably his best, and I'm sorry, I just don't have the answers for it, honestly. Just get Starver or something to do it, because I have no fucking clue what to do. Well, I do have one idea, and it's just get rid of the add-on. Problem solved. Give it a new effect that's not OP, and yeah, I think that's what you do. Nerf number 6, I think. And these are all of the nerfs I would make. I know there are going to be some people saying things along the lines of, these changes suck, you don't even know what you're talking about, salty survivor main. Wow, that's really it? You have no clue what you're doing. And to that I say, obviously, I don't work for behavior. I'm a fucking 19-year-old kid who's played this game for 3 years. It's been out for almost 7. So yeah, I'm not the best, I'm not the smartest, but I always keep it a buck with you. And these are just the right changes in my opinion. And let me say that again, in my opinion, just so you guys get the message. I hope you guys enjoy. And until next time.